you, North Carolina. Wow. And thank you, Meredith College, a place that's growing tough, smart women. And thank you to the state that will send Deborah Ross to the United States Senate. And thank you to the state that will send Hillary Clinton to the White House. Yes. You know, Hillary Clinton and Deborah Ross fight for North Carolina families because they come from working families. They know what it means to build a future, not just for some of our kids, but for all of our kids. They want a future, not just for the rich and powerful, but a future for all of us. That's what this election is about. You bet. And I gotta tell you, that's why I'm here tonight. I'm here because I want to be a part of building that future. I want to do it with all of you. And the best way that we can build that future is we can get Hillary to the White House and Deborah to the Senate. That's what it's going to take. Now, I'll be honest. I am not somebody who ever thought that I was going to be in politics. But the reason I'm out on the road right now is because this is personal for me. I grew up in a family that didn't have much. My daddy sold fencing, carpeting. He ended up as a maintenance man. He had a heart attack when I was 13, and my mom took a minimum wage job answering the phones at Sears, and that's what kept our family above water. I have 3 big brothers, and they all served in the military. My oldest brother, you bet, was career military, 288 combat missions in Vietnam. I learned from my brothers, and what I learned from my oldest brother is we honor our promises to our service members and our veterans. That's what I learned. You bet. Now, my second brother, after he got out of the Air Force, he worked construction. He worked a good union job, and that's why he has a pension today. And what I learned from my second brother is that unions built America's middle class, and unions will rebuild America's middle class. Yep. And my third brother, the youngest of the 3, after he got out of the Army, he started a small business. And when that one didn't work out, he started another one and another one. And now he's retired. And what he's got is his Social Security. And I learned from my brother David that we honor our promises to our seniors. We protect and we expand Social Security and Medicare. Yeah. Now me, I was the baby in the family, and pretty much all my life, 2nd grade on, there was just one thing I ever wanted to do. I wanted to teach school. Can we hear it for America's school teachers? I really did. I used to line my dollies up and teach school. I mean, I have to say, it was tough being one of my dollies. I don't think you did your homework last night. You know, it was rugged out there. But you don't get to be a teacher if you can't afford to go to college. And my parents loved me with everything they had, but there was just no money for college, not any. And I ultimately ended up at a commuter college in Texas that cost $50 a semester. And it opened a million doors for me. And the way I look at it is I am the daughter of a janitor who ended up as a United States Senator. America is truly a great country. A great country. And that's what it meant to grow up in an America that was investing in our kids. But I worry that my story is a story that is lost in time. You know, here I am on a college campus, I can't resist. Let's just do a little bit of the history of America and the economics. Coming out of the Great Depression, I know you're laughing over here, but I gotta do this. Coming out of the Great Depression, we said we can do better. And that's what we did. We decided that we could regulate the biggest financial institutions, put a cop on the beat on Wall Street, break up the biggest banks. That one was called Glass-Steagall. We said we could do it, and you know what? We did. And we bought decades of economic peace. And what we did with that economic peace is basically we taxed the folks at the top, and then we invested that money. We invested it in education. We invested it in basic infrastructure. We invested it in research. We invested in the things that built and created opportunity, not just for those who were already at the top, but began to create opportunity for all of us. Now, I get it. We weren't perfect. There were lots of places where women couldn't go. There were lots of places where African Americans couldn't go, where Latinos couldn't go, LGBT community locked firmly in the closet. But we were bending it in the right direction. And here's the deal. It worked. I'll give you just two statistics about this. 1935 to 1980, the 90% of America, everybody outside the top 10%, the 90% of America got 70% of all the new income growth in this country. We had an economy that was working for all of us. Yeah. And the black-white wealth gap, which has been with us since the first time we started measuring where families were in America. During the 1960s and 70s, as we began a civil rights movement, we shrunk the black-white wealth gap by 30%. We weren't all the way there, but boy, we were pushing things in the right direction. And then in the 1980s, the Republicans pulled us in a different direction. And they had two basic ideas. The first one was fire the cops, not the cops on Main Street, the cops on Wall Street. Turn the big financial institutions loose. Turn the big corporations loose. Let them do whatever they wanted to do. And once again, it worked. We ended up in 2008 with the biggest financial crash since the Great Depression. And their second big idea, trickle-down economics, cut taxes for those at the top, and then stop investing. Cut back on those investments in what? In education, in infrastructure, and in research. You know what? It worked too. You look at the basic numbers. From 1980 to 2015, GDP kept going right on up. But the 90%, everybody not in the top 10%, the 90% of America got less than 1% of all the income growth. Statistically, it was zero. 100% of the growth went to those at the top. I got to tell you, Donald Trump sits around and talks about, oh, things are rigged. Yeah, you're damn right they're rigged. They are rigged for billionaires, and it is time to fight back. It is time to fight back. You know, that really has been the GOP philosophy, the Donald Trump, Richard Burr philosophy. Help the rich and powerful get richer and more powerful, and step on the faces of everyone else who's trying to build a little economic security. You know, Richard Burr is not the solution. I honestly wish he were. I wish he were part of the solution. But in fact, he is a big part of the problem. And that's not just political talk. That's just plain old fact. For me, it's about how you vote when you go to Washington. So when Democrats put together a bill to let students refinance our loans, to lower interest rates, Richard Burr voted no. When we voted on a budget resolution to protect and expand Social Security, Richard Burr voted no. When we voted to raise the minimum wage, Richard Burr voted no. And when we voted for equal pay for equal work, Richard Burr voted no. But here's the deal. He doesn't always vote no. Nope. When Republicans moved to defund Planned Parenthood, the health clinics used by many women and particularly access for poor women, hey, Richard Burr voted yes, defund Planned Parenthood. Yeah. When the Ryan budget to privatize Social Security and voucherize Medicare came up, Richard Burr voted yes. And just one more. When it was time to vote on the fast track for TPP trade deal, Richard Burr was a big, fast yes vote. North Carolina doesn't need a senator for the rich and the powerful. North Carolina needs a senator for the people. North Carolina needs Deborah Ross. Yes. Yep. You bet. You know, Deborah is such an amazing person. She has spent her career in the state legislature and in public service fighting for our kids, fighting for our families, fighting for our U.S. Constitution. She is a champion of civil rights and voting rights. She believes in investing in our schools, in our infrastructure, in our research. She believes in building a future for North Carolina. That's the kind of woman she is. With Deborah Ross. No, I want the chance to fight side by side with Deborah Ross. Yes! And look, this fight is now more important than ever because Donald Trump is now the leader of the Republican Party. And they gotta own up to that. They're the ones who picked him. You know, and so I always look at these pieces that tell you about who somebody is. You know, shortly before the 2008 financial crisis that wiped out millions of homeowners, that wiped out millions of jobs, that wiped out literally billions of dollars in savings, shortly before that, Donald Trump said that he was excited about the coming crash because it meant he was going to have a chance to scoop up some real estate on the cheap. You know, what kind of a man does that? What kind of a man roots for people to lose their homes? I'll tell you what kind of man. A small, insecure money grubber. A man who will never be president of the United States. Yes. You know, Trump stiffed painters and plumbers and construction workers, the people who labored to build his golf courses and his casinos. And he stiffed them knowing that if they stood up and tried to defend themselves, that his high-priced attorneys would just pound them into the ground. What kind of man does that? A pathetic bully. A man who will never be president of the United States. You bet. No, I hope you heard Donald Trump in the debate when he said that he was smart not to pay any taxes. That's right. He is smart, and all of you who pay taxes are dumb. Everyone who pays taxes to keep our roads and bridges working is dumb. Everyone who pays taxes to support our world-class military is dumb. Everyone who pays taxes to support medical research and scientific research is dumb. Dumb because Donald Trump doesn't plan to pay. He just plans to use all those things you paid for. What kind of man does that? A selfish little sleazeball. A man who will never be president of the United States. You bet. You bet. Now, Donald Trump's been out there. He hadn't been hiding who he is. He's been out there from the very beginning. He's been out there, and where has your Senator Richard Burr been all this time? You know, I wanted to look this up, make sure I got this right before I came here. Richard Burr said, "Make no mistake, I am fully supportive of Donald Trump." No dancing around that one. So Donald Trump called Latinos rapists and murderers, and Burr fully supports Trump. Trump called African Americans thugs, and Burr fully supports Donald Trump. Trump attacked a Gold Star family, and Burr fully supports Donald Trump. Trump praised Vladimir Putin and compared himself to dictators, and Burr fully supports Donald Trump. Trump calls women fat pigs and bimbos and brags about sexually assaulting women. And Richard Burr is like a puppy on a leash, sticking right there with Donald Trump. You know, if Richard Burr is just going to be Donald Trump's lapdog, then let him go off and do that. But the people of North Carolina need a strong, independent voice to fight for the families of North Carolina. And that is Deborah Ross. You bet. Now, according to Donald Trump, a woman who fights back is a nasty woman. You know, women have had it with guys like Donald Trump and Richard Burr. And nasty women have really had it with guys like Donald Trump and Richard Burr. You bet. So, yesterday, I was in New Hampshire with Hillary Clinton. Go Hillary. And while I was there, I said, you know, nasty women are tough, nasty women are smart, and nasty women vote. Well, all I can say is I got news for Donald Trump and Richard Burr, and that is nasty women vote in North Carolina. Am I right? So, what do you say, nasty women? Are you ready? And friends of nasty women, are you ready to vote? Are you ready to get these men out of our lives forever? Yes. You know, Hillary Clinton has spent her whole career standing up to bullies like Donald Trump. I'll tell you this about her. She doesn't back down. She doesn't whimper. She doesn't whine. She doesn't run to Twitter to call her opponents loser and goofy names at 3 in the morning. Nope. She's a lot like Deborah. She just remembers the kids, the women, the families who need her most. And she gets up every day and gets out there and fights for them. Hillary has brains, she has guts, she has a thick skin and steady hands, and most of all, she has basic decency. And that's what America needs, and that's why I'm with her. Are you with her? Are you with her? Good. Good. That's what it takes. Yeah. Woo! I like that. I like that. Okay. Excellent. All right. I love this. All right. So I have two specific asks. The first one is vote. We're all saying this now because this is what matters. Early voting now through November 5th. As I understand, you can register and vote at the same time, so there are zero excuses. Get out there and get yourself voted before November 5th. And the second is volunteer. We need your help. We need your help. You can go to HillaryClinton.com or DeborahRoss.com, and they'll put you in touch with volunteers. You can do it near your home, but please volunteer. Understand this, and particularly here in North Carolina. The billionaires think they're going to be able to buy this election. They think that they've got enough money, they can shovel in, they can do enough television ads that are negative and hateful, and that that's going to be enough to buy this election. The one thing we have on our side is there's more of us, and we got our voices and our votes, but only if we use them. So please, vote and volunteer. That's what it takes. Both of them. Yep. It's a great honor to be here with you tonight. It's a great honor when we come together and talk about our democracy. Because for me, the way I see this is that ultimately, this doesn't come down to just one person or just one election. What this really comes down to is a movement. And it's a movement based on our values. And when we come together, we have a chance to say to each other, to affirm to ourselves and to our neighbors what it is we get up every morning to fight for, and what it is that we're still fighting for when we go to bed at night. So how about just a little bit of that? We believe that every person has a right to get an education without getting crushed by student loan debt, and we will fight for it. Debt-free college, you bet. We believe that no one should work full-time and still live in poverty, and that means raising the minimum wage. Raise the minimum wage, and we will fight for it. We believe that workers should be allowed to come together to organize for working conditions and better pay, that unions built America's middle class, and unions will rebuild America's middle class. And we believe that after a lifetime of hard work, people are entitled to retire with dignity. And that means protecting and expanding Social Security and Medicare. Yes. This one really gets me. You know, Wells Fargo. Cheated tens of thousands of people, then fired $12 an hour employees as a way to show how they were accountable. That giant banks brought down our economy. Well, we believe in tough rules and real accountability for giant banks. And when CEOs break the law, they ought to go to jail just like anyone else. Now I'm gonna lay one on you that's a little controversial in some circles. We believe in science. We believe that climate change is real and that we have a moral responsibility to protect this earth for our children, our grandchildren, and our grandchildren's grandchildren. Yep. This one I cannot believe that I still have to say in 2016, but I do because it's still on the line. We believe in equal pay for equal work and a woman's right to decisions over her own body. And we will fight for it. Yes. Yes. My woman back here. And we believe that equal means equal. And that is true for marriage, it is true for the workplace, it is true every place. North Carolina's bill to discriminate against transgender people is hateful, and it must be overturned. You know, Donald Trump calls African Americans thugs, he calls Muslims terrorists, he calls Latinos criminals, and he brags about sexually assaulting women. Well, we believe that racism and sexism and bigotry have no place in our country. We believe that Black Lives Matter, that our diversity makes us a stronger nation, and we will live together. Yes. Yes. You know, I really could do this all day. I could, but I'm just going to do one more, just one more. Discipline, girl, discipline. Okay. You got to keep these nasty women. They got to stay disciplined, focused. Okay. You know, I do want to say this one, though. We believe that millionaires and billionaires and giant corporations shouldn't be able to buy our elections and our politicians. Corporations are not people. We will overturn Citizens United. We will return this democracy to the people. That's what we will do. Yes. 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 Yes, we will. You know, there it is. There it is. Hillary Clinton's agenda and Deborah Ross's agenda is a common sense agenda. It is an opportunity agenda. It is a North Carolina agenda. It is an American agenda. Hillary and Deborah are tough, smart, experienced leaders who will fight for their values. They will fight for our values. They have fought for us, and now it is time for us to fight for them. Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to